development. I can see the number of issues I've reduced on that report. But without going into the nitty-gritties, please give us an update on Amboseli. I think it's in the public domain that certain proclamations have been made that Kajiado ought to collect revenue from Amboseli Park.
In a very highly summarized way, just to bring to speed the conversation of Amboseli, and I'm saying summarized because I'll try and really make it a summary. Amboseli historically is a national game reserve, not a national park. And records to that effect exist. And in 1974, two leaders conflicted and the national government said they take over the park temporarily to resolve this dispute. Temporary has become 52 years plus. Fast forward. The MAA nation has been petitioning every president about Amboseli. You saw in 2005, President Kibaki gave Amboseli back to the people of Kajiado. To the best of our knowledge, Kibaki must have gone to rest thinking that he finished that business. But vested interest, Amboseli is a big cash cow for researchers, international, tourist institutions, and then it just got buried. Quickly, President Ruto came to the scene. Takes effect 1st of July this year. Come 1st of July this year, which was last week, the county government went to site to pick their 50% share of revenue. And KWS said, no, we have no instructions. And these are armed agencies, security agencies, so the county staff were told, go away. That is where we are within the Amboseli. And just this week, I led a high-level team from the county government and the community leaders who gave out an additional 1 million acres to allow wildlife dispersal area. Amboseli Park is only 82,000 acres. The community, in the transition period of between 2023 and 2025, gave an additional 1 million acres because the park is just like a small wetland. So the community has come forward to say, where is the money for our 1 million acres? And I went to ask that question, and I'm asking that question, how does KWS come and outrightly defy the presidency? What are we going to tell the community that has given an additional 1 million acres that you have no money because KWS have said no to it? So I am as baffled as you all look like, that it cannot be. What country have we become?
You have the benefit of having been CS for Interior. You understand government. What is this instruction that KWS is looking for that is not available?
And before Governor maybe answers, Chair, there was a committee that was to midwife that transfer from National Game Reserve to management of the county. What was the mandate of that committee? And did it have KWS represented? And so where are they waiting for instructions from in order to give you that revenue?
Yeah, what's that instrument?
That is the question we are asking now as the county government of Kajiado. That task force, led by Engineer Maliti, had KWS in the board, had the Attorney General office, had 28 government agencies involved in this. Of course, and the Ministry of Tourism, and ourselves as the county government of Kajiado. Citizen participation was done for all the 47 counties. And a resounding verdict of yes, Kajiado is a national reserve was the result of that verdict. Even all the playing international NGOs in the ecosystem, because the masses were saying, okay, keep the park, get out your animals out of our farms. Because the international community knows that there is no park, it's just a wetland that is being called a park. The wildlife are in the community land. Everybody agreed that this community must have a stake in this Amboseli. And therefore, we are all asking, what are these instruments that the president gave, including symbols of animals in Amboseli that were handed to me on the 8th of November 2025, signifying that the transition has completed. 23rd August 2023 to 8th November 2026 was the period within which all those legal hurdles were complied with. And therefore, the Man Nation, the people are saying, we will go back to the park and take our park from KWS.
Okay, before we go that route, because I know they're armed with spears and all those sorts of things, what is a legal requirement? Let's because National Park, National Reserve, it's about categorization, gazettement, etc. So there's a legal requirement. What is that legal requirement that we have fallen short on that is leading to this standoff?
And in addition, when there was handing over of Amboseli by the national government to the county government of Kajiado, what was it being handed over? Because from your submissions through the chair, you have insisted that the national government then, in the 70s, was just to be a temporary custodian. So what was handed over? And is there legal instruments?
In the 1940s, the then colonial government designated some areas as national parks and some as game reserve. The difference is, in a national park, it is purely for wildlife and no human coexistence. In a game reserve, people live side by side with wildlife. That is the case of Amboseli. Because we are saying Amboseli is only 80,000 acres, it's nothing for a national park. It is the community that is carrying the weight of the wildlife. And therefore, when that squabble happened, the Constitution of Kenya recognizes that the national park under Schedule 4 is for national government, the game reserve is for county government. And that is why Masai Mara, Samburu Game Reserve, and all those belong to the county governments. That is the petition the people of Kajiado have. And that's what has been determined as the rightful case. So, to answer the question of what was handed over in November 2025, the president issued a proclamation that this historical injustice have been corrected, and I hereby hand over the management of the park to the county government of Kajiado. There are no documents to show that Amboseli is a national park. It was an executive order of President Kenyatta that gave it out that cannot be traced either. And therefore, what President Ruto has done is to give the same executive order. So that is where we are.
Governor, you're not